Thought she wasn't gonna watch it.
Came out to LA, came to the fight, but Crawford just walked by and said, "I thought you weren't gonna watch it, but clearly your mind has changed."
Yeah, I came here to support.
Terence Crawford and Canelo Alvarez held their first mini press conference ahead of their upcoming fight in September. However, Jaron Ennis ended up stealing the spotlight after he launched an attack and struck Crawford. Jaron Ennis feels deeply betrayed, questioning why Terence Crawford avoided facing him for all these years, only to now move forward with a fight against Canelo Alvarez.
I think you gotta lean more towards Canelo, because like I said before, he been putting big guys out and down, and Canelo not even really a 68 pounder. He probably really should be at 60 maybe, and he been hurting these guys. I think he be dropping these guys and things like that. So, and them guys be way bigger than him come fight night. I know that for sure. They be probably close to 200.
He was at the press conference alongside Shakur Stevenson and Keyshawn Davis, and when it was time for Terence Crawford to step onto the stage, Boots suddenly shoved him and pushed him off. Apparently, Jaron Ennis has been planning a move up to the super welterweight or middleweight division in order to secure a fight with Terence Crawford at any cost. This comes after multiple failed attempts to face him during his time in the welterweight division. The first press conference for the fight took place in Las Vegas, where both fighters participated in a brief question and answer session before a small audience in an intimate setting. They then proceeded to the media room for the first time to take pictures and handle some media duties. When asked about Jaron Ennis's actions, Terence Crawford responded, "That's stupid. I never saw that coming. He should have stepped up and faced me instead of running away. I have no words for him. If he really wants something, he should meet me in a street fight. I'll break his neck. He's way too small for me to even consider stepping into the ring with him."
And he dropping those guys like that, so I don't know. It's gonna be a great fight. The fans want to see it, so so be it. I think Crawford should take a warm-up fight, at like 60, or like at least at 60, just to get his body, the feeling of somebody a little bit bigger, and things like that. I know when you go up in weight, you gotta, develop that power and not develop the power, but like put that muscle on and be heavy and things like that. So he might not want to take a fight because he's trying to build up right now, but I think he should, just to stay sharp and that way he don't have like a long layoff or anything like that.
Jaron Ennis long pursued a fight with Terence Crawford, but will now have to watch with frustration as his rival steps into the ring against Canelo Alvarez instead. Ennis is a precocious talent and the current International Boxing Federation such IBF title holder in the welterweight division. He rose to prominence after Crawford became the undisputed champion at 147 pounds by defeating Errol Spence in July 2023.
Oh, Canelo's gonna run over him. What's your thoughts on that fight?
It's a good fight, 50-50 fight, and I guess it's a fight that everybody wants to see. So, it's a good fight.
With Bud's last fight being a world title victory at 154 lbs over Israel Madrimov, it appears the 37-year-old has permanently moved on from the welterweight division. Crawford has long had his sights set on jumping up another weight class to face undisputed super middleweight champion Canelo Alvarez. And finally, this past week, that fight was officially confirmed for September. Speaking to YSM Sports Media, Ennis initially didn't choose a winner for the upcoming bout, giving Crawford just as much of a chance as Canelo to get his hand raised. "It's a good fight, a 50-50 fight, and I guess it's the kind of fight everybody wants to see," he said.
How difficult is it to make that jump from, he only had one fight at 54, so like 147, 154 to 168 pounds?
You said how difficult is it?
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure it's going to be a little difficult because you got to, what are you going to have to put on, like an extra 14 pounds? So he might be a little slower, or who knows, he could be faster. I don't know. Like, it's just, you got to add more weight and gain more muscle and stuff like that, moving up in weight and things like that, so it's a little harder, but I don't know. We'll see on fight night how he'll look.
He was then asked about the challenge Crawford will face by moving up in weight. "It's going to be a little difficult. He's going to have to put on an extra 14 pounds, so he might be slower. You've got to add more weight and gain more muscle. That makes things harder, but we'll see on fight night." Next, he was asked what Crawford would need to do in order to win. Having already said it would be a tough night for Bud, he advised, "Be smart, take his time, box and move. Don't just stand there and let him land bombs." Finally, he offered a possible game plan for how Canelo could secure victory.
What does Terence Crawford have to do to be successful in that fight?
Be smart, take his time, box and move. Don't sit there and let him try to bomb on him.
What about Canelo Alvarez?
I feel like Canelo going to press him, had to press him, everything behind the stick, and catch him, try and pull back, anything, cutting up.
I feel like Canelo will be pressing, working everything behind the jab, catching him when he tries to pull out or pull back, cutting off the ring, things like that. He's going to have to bully the smaller guy. Don't let him dictate. Anything, show him this is your weight class, Ennis said. Ennis, one of boxing's most exciting rising stars, recently secured a win over Stanionis last month. Amid all the build-up, he found time to share his thoughts on the Canelo versus Crawford hype train, though he's not exactly offering blind endorsements. In a recent interview with Fight Hub TV, Ennis raised a red flag about Crawford moving up 2 full weight classes. I think Crawford should take a warm-up fight at 160 just to feel what it's like against a bigger guy, he said.
Is it one of those situations where you try to punch on like the smaller man's like arms?
You gonna have to bully him. You gonna have to bully the smaller guy. Don't let him dictate nothing. Show him that's your weight class.
Boots didn't hold back when discussing what Crawford is up against. Canelo's been at that weight for a while. He's been knocking out big guys. Crawford's smaller, and Canelo's been stopping fighters who come in at around 200 pounds. On fight night, the reality is Alvarez may not be a natural super middleweight either, but he's made a habit of hurting and finishing fighters much bigger than Crawford. That fact isn't lost on those who truly understand how the game works.
Yeah, you brought up, and this is just a follow-up on here, you brought up one main point that a lot of fans have been bringing up. It's like, what happens when Canelo hits him? Because he's been hurting, like you mentioned, bigger guys.
Yeah.
Crawford hasn't been fighting guys that are 200 pounds, 190 pounds on fight night.
Yeah, right. I think Crawford should take a warm-up fight, at like 60 or like at least at 60, just to get his body.
Crawford recently revealed that he is currently well above the 168 lb super middleweight limit. In fact, he's sitting at 186 lbs, despite having previously won world titles all the way down at lightweight, 135 lbs. However, out of clear envy, Jaron "Boots" Ennis has still predicted a loss for Crawford. While Ennis and several other boxing professionals believe the Mexican superstar will come out on top, Jaron's father, Bozy Ennis, has now shared his own take on the showdown, and it's a surprising one. Bozy reflected on Alvarez's most recent performance against William Skull, where Canelo earned a unanimous decision victory on May 3rd in what many saw as a rather lackluster fight. Speaking to YSM Sports Media, Bozy said he believes Canelo gets frustrated when an opponent moves around too much in front of him.
Running.
Same like a...
You told me that Terence Crawford and Canelo was a 50-50 fight. You told me Terence Crawford had a chance.
Right.
Me, I was leaning towards Canelo because of the size.
Right.
I want to apologize.
Yeah.
Because after watching that fight, I see what you were talking about.
Yeah, I'm telling you, movement. That movement all sets everybody, man. And with Canelo, he get frustrated. You see, he walking to you and all that. If he can't touch you, you know what I mean? That's it. You know what I mean?
Now, did watching that make you feel like Terence Crawford has better than a 50% chance? After watching, I know
with Canelo, he gets frustrated if he can't touch you, you know what I mean? When asked about Terence Crawford's chances against Canelo Alvarez, Bozy Ennis said, great chance, because Terence can box, Terence can move, Terence can punch. Terence isn't going to just stand there like Skull. Terence will fight you. He's Terence from the streets, man. He knows what to do when it comes down to it. I think he's going to wind up frustrating Canelo. Ennis added that the right way to fight Alvarez is to box him and hit him when he sets his feet. He also mentioned the importance of bringing Alvarez to the center of the ring, pointing out that when Canelo drops his guard, he can be vulnerable to a knockout. I think Terence is going to do what he's going to do. Terence might stop him, he said.
Laura, back in the day, but now this is supposed to be a new and improved Canelo.
Yeah. I think, like I said, Terence got a great chance to beat him, man. You know what I mean? Terence can box, Terence can move, Terence can punch. You know what I mean? Terence ain't gonna be doing like Skull. Terence gonna fight you. You know what I mean? He's Terence from the street, man. You know what I mean? He know what to do. You know what I mean? When it comes down to it, I think he's gonna wind up frustrating Canelo. You know what I mean?
When reminded that Canelo Alvarez has a granite chin and has taken shots from some of the sport's hardest hitters, Bozy responded, he hasn't been punched by Terence though. I know he's been in there with some great punches, but the punch has got to be placed right. He added that not many opponents have targeted Canelo's body, something Terence Crawford might capitalize on. That could force Alvarez to drop his guard, giving Bud a clear opening for a knockout shot up top. Meanwhile, a possible bout between Jaron Ennis and Teofimo Lopez has been making headlines, with Eddie Hearn confirming to FightHype.com We are in negotiations for Jaron to fight Teofimo. However, it now appears that talks haven't gone smoothly, as Lopez has accused Ennis of ducking him.
You beat Boots by unanimous decision. Yeah, I'm a dog him, for sure. I'm a dog that boy. They never faced a fighter like me. No more backflips, protect your knees.
And his father, Bozy, didn't hold back either. Boots, if you're on here, and your father's on here, Bozy, listen to me. You bozos. How do you claim to be from Philly and not want to fight the best? Man, y'all are putting Philly down. And Philly just won. Shout out to the Philadelphia Eagles for winning the chip. Come on, bro, I don't think you're really from Philly. Any questions? Yeah? No Boots fight then? No Boots fight, Lopez added. The idea of Lopez moving up to welterweight has been discussed previously, with Turki Al-Sheikh speaking positively about the potential matchup. Meanwhile, Ennis has expressed his desire to collect the remaining welterweight titles, currently held by Mario Barrios and Brian Norman Jr.
Boots, if you're on here and your father's on here, Bozy, listen to me. You bozos. How you claim yourself from Philly and you don't want to fight the best? Man, y'all putting Philly down and Philly just won. Shout out to Philadelphia Eagles for winning the chip. Come on, bro. I don't think you from Philly. Any questions? Yeah, no Boots fight then. No Boots fight. They said no.
A fight with Barrios is now off the table as he is set to face 46-year-old Manny Pacquiao on July 19th. Meanwhile, tensions continue to simmer between Team Ennis and Team Norman following the collapse of earlier negotiations. A Teofimo Lopez versus Jaron Ennis showdown would certainly be an intriguing contest, with both fighters showcasing their talent in their most recent outings. Ennis dazzled in his victory over Imantas Stanionis. The Philly fighter demonstrated elite footwork, precise punch placement, and knockout power, all qualities he has displayed in abundance.
Teofimo Lopez has mentioned that a potential fight with you and him maybe down the road. I think Turkey's even said that. Just overall, your thoughts on that, Jaron?
Like I said before, I'm not worried about nobody else outside of my Stanionis. I'm locked in on him. I'm just locked in on him. I'm zoned in on Stanionis. I'm here to collect belts at 147 and show out. And that's what I'm going to do.
Lopez tends to rise to the occasion in big fights, as seen in his impressive victories over Vasily Lomachenko and Josh Taylor. In his most recent win against Arnold Barboza Jr., he once again showcased that signature sharpness, which had been missing from some of his previous performances. It's no secret that Ennis has struggled to make the 147-pound limit, and talk of a move up to junior middleweight had circulated prior to the Stanionis bout. However, Ennis chose to remain in the welterweight division, aiming to add more belts to his collection. But after successfully unifying the division against Stanionis, it now seems unlikely he will capture a third 147-pound title anytime soon.
I figured it being so close to the fight too as well. You're kind of like tunnel vision when it comes to your opponent. And the only reason why I ask is because Turkey had mentioned that if Teo gets past Barboza, we could see a fight with you and Teofimo. I know Top Rank tried to make that fight as well, so I was just curious now, like, what do you think of Teofimo as a fighter?
Yeah, good fighter. Good fighter. That's about it.
When asked what he thinks of Teofimo as a fighter, Ennis replied, a good fighter, good fighter. That's about it. The World Boxing Organization champion Brian Norman Jr. is set to face Jin Sasaki, while Mario Barrios will take on 46-year-old Manny Pacquiao. There have been discussions about Jaron Ennis potentially facing WBO junior welterweight champion Teofimo Lopez, but Eddie Hearn has raised concerns about how wise it would be for Ennis to make the 147-pound limit again for that bout. I think the big question is whether Boots stays at 147, if I'm honest, Hearn told Boxing Scene. The Stanionis performance was great. The kind of medical stats weren't as great, but it's difficult because I think Boots feels like he'll perform so much better at 154. The reason he wanted to stay at 147 originally was to unify, and now he's done it. It's a tough decision. We like the Teofimo Lopez fight, Hearn continued, but I think if he stays at 147, he'll fight Teofimo, and if he doesn't, obviously you'll see him move up to 154, with Brian Norman Jr. fighting in July. In Japan and Barrios facing Pacquiao, the unification bouts aren't really on the table right now.
That's about it?
Yeah, he's a good fighter. That's about it.
Oh, okay. I didn't know if you were going to add or anything like that.
No. I say he's a good fighter. That's about it.
Okay. Brian Norman Jr. got a knockout win. I know you guys tried to make a fight previously. He had mentioned in a group huddle with us that he just didn't like being cornered in his opinion, when it came to that fight. Just, you know what happened.
With Boots, it's a bit of a one-off, really, Hearn continued. I say he's not money motivated. Of course he is, but he's all about legacy, and he's willing to put his body through the stress of making 147, but only for unification. So the Teofimo fight is a little different. It's a big fight, but we'll have to make a decision soon. Ennis hired a nutritionist and a support team to help him cut weight more efficiently for his bout with Stanionis. On fight night, Ennis looked massive, far bigger than Stanionis, and completely dominated the fight. However, Hearn revealed that making the welterweight limit was still a significant struggle. It probably wasn't as bad as the Karen Chukagian fight, Hearn said, but a lot of people pointed out during fight week how tight he looked at the weight. He wasn't completely drained or dead on the scales for Stanionis, not at all, but it's still a massive ask to keep dragging himself down to 147 repeatedly.
Fight, Jaron, just give us your perspective on that and him saying those comments.
I ain't gonna lie, I don't even know what you're talking about. I've been so locked in and zoned in on what I got going on. I ain't been worrying about nobody else doing nothing. Like, I just been going to the gym, training, locking in books and things like that, even coloring a little bit. I'm just so focused on what I got going on. I really ain't been on social media. I post whatever I post and get